White House downplaying concerns voters have about Biden's age and ability to lead.
Why do you think it is that in a Wall Street Journal poll, 2/3 of Democrats think President Biden is too old to run again?
I can speak to a president who has experience. I can speak to a president who has done has taken historic action and has delivered in historic pieces of legislation. And that's important.
Joe Concha is a Fox News contributor and columnist for The Messenger, and he joins us now. And Joe, if I may, here is one more clip from the press briefing yesterday between Karine Jean-Pierre and Peter Doocy. Watch this.
President Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history. Why does White House staff treat him like a baby?
No one treats the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, like a baby.
So there's this book that says
that's ridiculous.
When staff walked back
claim.
What sounded like a call for regime change in Russia, the president, quote, rather than owning his failure, he fumed to friends about how he was treated like a toddler. Was John Kennedy ever babied like that?
We're not going to litigate those here. That's something that we're not going to speak to.
So, Joe, what do you think about all this?
Well, they did shorten the steps, right, at Air Force One because the president was having trouble going up those steps that so many presidents have in the past. We've seen a president that has taken nearly 380 vacation days since becoming president 2.5 years ago. To put that in context, 380 for Biden, 390 for Ronald Reagan. The difference being that Reagan was there for 8 years to get to that number. So we've seen time and again that this is a president being treated like a guy who was too old to be president. And it's amazing to me, in a very bad way, by the way, how Karine Jean-Pierre doesn't seem to have the ability to prep for questions she knows must be coming on a daily basis. The polls are the polls. 7 in 10, 8 in 10 Americans think that this president is too old to serve a second term. And there was even a CNN poll that was out recently, guys. 2/3 of the country thinks it will be a, quote, disaster, unquote, if Joe Biden were to win a second term. But at least America can sleep tight knowing that Kamala Harris is your relief pitcher if Joe Biden were to step down or otherwise during his second term.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Mike. What day is it, Mike? Guess what today is?
To take over the job of being president.
Oh, my God! Hump day!
Sometimes they get me, baby. You're gonna get it today. We got MTG on the show. We're excited about it. It's Wednesday, September 6, 2023. Kamala Harris says she's ready to step into the role of president. May need to take over, Kamala says. Oh, you ready for that, America? Buckle up. James Comer subpoenas DHS Secret Service over tip-off of thwarted Hunter Biden interview. And again, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene joins the show. Very, very excited about it. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Make sure that you are watching our show and connected to us. We want to be able to reach you. This is going to be a crazy year. It's going to be insane. Are they going to try and take Trump off the ballot? What shenanigans are they going to try and do? They're not going to let Biden run. Are they really going to let Biden run? Are they really? You sure about that? Don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, stay connected to us with Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is the phone that we use. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When I say only, trust me, I mean only. Their dependable nationwide coverage is on all 3 major networks. That means you get the same coverage that you are accustomed to without the funding of the left. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're sending a message that you support free speech, religious freedom, and sanctity of life. Second Amendment, and our military, 100% U.S.-based customer service. PatriotMobile.com/Benny. PatriotMobile.com/Benny, or call 878-PATRIOT today. Get free activation with the offer code Benny. Okay, so if you had a cell phone back in the year, when is this clip from? ALX. I'm going to show you something. We went back in the archives. We found something very special. This clip is from, I think, like 2007. I'm going to show you a clip of Joe Biden. I'm going to show you a clip of based Joe Biden, something I've never done on this show. I'm going to show you a clip of Joe Biden where I'm like, whoa, I might actually like, whoa, I might actually like, what's this guy on? Hold up. Like, I may actually, like, consider what he has to say. I'm going to show you a clip of Joe Biden that we've never shown on this show before. It's a famous one from the archives where Joe Biden went on a very popular show at the time, Meet the Press. Of course, it's a complete dumpster heap at this point. But back in the day, this was like the biggest show on TV. Tim Russert. anchored the show. And Joe Biden, who was a senator at the time in 2006, which is when this clip is from, went on that show and said a few things that we thought were quite interesting. And I want to direct your attention to how he says them. Please, watch.
Handbasket. We are desperately concerned about the circumstance relating to avian flu. We don't have enough vaccines. We don't have enough police officers. And we're going to debate the next 3 weeks, I'm told, gay marriage, a flag amendment, and God only knows what else. I can't believe the American people can't see through this. We already have a law, the Defense of Marriage Act, where we've all voted, not where I voted and others said, look, marriage is between a man and a woman, and states must respect that. Nobody's violated that law. There's been no challenge to that law. Why do we need a constitutional amendment? Marriage is between a man and a woman. What's the game going on here? And
what's the game going on here, Joe says? What's the game going on here? More importantly, though, ladies and gentlemen, what Joe Biden is saying there, which is a bit prescriptive, it sort of shows you the extreme chameleon-like transactional nature of Joe Biden being like, obviously, marriage is between a man and a woman. Who cares? Now, Joe Biden is consistent on something. He's like, we don't have enough vaccines. There's a flu going around. We don't have enough vaccines. Joe Biden, always the dependable shill for any big corporation that is putting dollars in his pocket, whether it be banks or whether it be Big Pharma. So Joe Biden at least consistent on some things, but on other things, Joe Biden's sitting there, marriage is between a man and a woman. What's the game going on here? But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, you have Joe Biden in a position where he is speaking coherently, quickly, making his points, and having sort of a jump from nodes of thought, right? Like, so that those are the things that you start to really see collapse when you hit certain levels of brain deterioration, right? We have a thought process actually on why Joe Biden's brain may be deteriorating extremely quickly. Very interesting little video that a doctor surfaced into our feed, and it sort of talks you through the deterioration of Joe Biden in a beautiful way. A plastic surgeon does. We'll play that for you in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, what you see, though, are the nodes of thought, right? Being able to go from one idea to the next, connecting them in a way that makes sense, that creates an argument. This is, of course, extremely important in politics, and this is what Joe Biden used to do. You saw there in that clip. What's the game going on here? Marriage is between a man and a woman. Ladies and gentlemen, please observe Joe Biden from today. Watch.
If they have to pay out $159 billion less for prescription drugs, then it reduces the deficit.
Oh, okay. So, you know what? He's 80. Every old man can sort of stumble into the brain fog of the morning. Some mornings I need some extra coffee. So this clearly isn't something that we can play tape after tape after tape after tape of, right? Right, Rolls Royce?
And you know how much I'm reducing the deficit this year? $1,500,000,000 reduction.
Do we have the clip from Bruce Almighty? Poo poo pee pee. What was he saying there? You remember that clip? Was it Jim Carrey and Steve Carell? Oh man. Maybe we need to make that the next meme, Jerry. Jerry, make that the meme for tomorrow. It doesn't stop there. It never stops. This is, of course, the most broadcast event that the president is a part of. It's something called the State of the Union. You'd assume that if they were going to pump Joe full of a cocktail, well, they'd be using this scenario to do it. If they were going to put your best foot forward for a president that spends 40% of his time on vacation, they would use the State of the Union to make sure that he was propped up correctly and marionetted correctly. Oh, no.
Make no mistake, if you try anything to raise the cost of prescription drugs, I will veto it.
Now, you might wonder why this is all happening. You may wonder who's actually behind all this. And our show has been really nailing the true power structure behind Joe Biden. There's a really interesting clip here that we have been stating for quite a while, that it is not Joe Biden. There's a mistake. There's mirages that are created, right? PR mirages, where they sacrifice people, right? PR is all about what are you sacrificing, right, in order to keep power and get your message out and to advance your priorities and your agenda. They sacrifice Hunter, right? So, Hunter's fighting to stay out of jail right now. We'll bring you that report in a second. They're sacrificing Hunter. They're saying, oh, yeah, Hunter, he's on drugs, and he's always been a messed up. You've seen the slow meat grinder coming for Hunter for a while. But it's not about Hunter. But it's not really even about Joe Biden. Do you really think that guy's in charge? Again, if you put all the pieces together, you'll realize that Joe Biden ain't in charge of anything. In fact, all you have to do is look at his own staff, who will tell you straight up who's actually in charge. His own staff will reveal to you what's actually happening inside of the White House, who's pulling the strings. Just listen to their words. It's quite obvious.
President Biden every single day, and I love working for President Biden every single day.
So today, as you all saw just an hour or so ago, President Obama announced that, President Biden. Whoa!
If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony.
My strong sense is that he has a heck of a lot of influence, and he's actually pulling the strings. What do you make?
Well, you've got the biographer, Mr. Garrow, who wrote a very definitive biography on Barack Obama's younger years, saying that there are people from the White House going in and out of Barack Obama's home in Washington, D.C. on a regular basis. He certainly thinks he's pulling strings, and I think he's probably got pretty good reasons to believe that that's exactly the case.
We have been stating on this program for a very long time, because we've worked in Washington, D.C. for 15 years. We have been amongst those circles. I have asked questions in the White House press briefing. I've worked for large corporate media companies, and I've been a reporter on Capitol Hill, and we have considerable sources throughout Washington. It is quite clear that the Obama administration is in its third term right now. No one has changed. Literally, the people are still the same. Actually, Obama just graduated into a much larger series of mansions all around the world than the White House. They still has Joe Biden in there. They still have all the people. His own press secretary is like, I really love working for Barack Obama. Both of them at the start of that clip. And then his biographer, David Garrow, who we refer to you often, a Tablet magazine article where David Garrow is interviewed and saying, no, you don't understand. It's not Joe Biden running anything. Joe Biden is a marionette. He's puppeted around by Barack Obama. It's become quite clear that much like Hunter is a cutout for the crimes of Joe Biden, that Joe Biden is a cutout for Obama. And that when you are to go at these concurrent scandals inside of our nation, and you are to go at the actual root of what's happening here, it's going to be Obama, with whom the feet lie all of your problem, all your concurrent scandals, the threads, you pull them, and they all coalesce. One individual, one person with one very creepy past that we'll get to. Tucker Carlson doing a bombshell interview tonight with a man named Larry Sinclair. And we'll talk about Larry Sinclair in just a moment. So what you see here in this circumstance is the eventual sacrifice, okay? These people are very much into sacrifice. This is why they were very upset when Roe v. Wade was struck down. They are into sacrifice. You'll see the sacrifice of other people's careers. Now, Barack Obama has already gone to the White House and humiliated Joe Biden, called Joe Biden personally the vice president to his face, wandered around the room and ignored Joe Biden. You remember the clips. Joe Biden is effectively finished, we believe. They're not donating into Joe Biden's presidential campaign. He's not running a campaign. Joe Biden is preparing actually for impeachment. He's hired a bunch of lawyers and hired a bunch of Clinton people. Joe Biden, we'll see if he barely survives this impeachment. We'll see what happens. But it seems to be that the long knives are out for old Joe. Everyone can see that Joe Biden is indeed falling apart. And so that brought our attention to a very interesting interview that dropped this morning from Kamala Harris, where Kamala Harris, who has often fantasized about further power gobbling, which is seems to be her only actual verifiable quality, trait, skill, and talent, she seems to have often been fantasizing about the power gobbling of further office, and now she's openly fantasizing about becoming president, something that hasn't happened, something that I think is quite interesting here. She is doing it now on camera, talking about how ready she is to replace Joe Biden, while the concurrent scandals surround Joe Biden, with everyone knowing, everyone well aware, that Biden will go down in flames in an instant. Not a single tear would be shed in Washington, D.C. if Joe Biden was impeached or put in prison. No one would care. Joe Biden is simply a cutout for Barack Obama. Would Kamala Harris be a better or more effective cutout for Barack Obama? That is the nature of the Democrat Party right now. The nature of the Democrat Party is, who is the best stand-in for Barack? Kamala Harris, in our cringe alert for the morning, saying, "It's me. Pick me. Power gobbler." Go.
Questions about the president's age often go hand in hand with questions about how you would step in the role, if necessary. Do you feel prepared for that possibility? And serving as vice president prepared you for that job?
Yes.
And how would you describe that process?
Which process?
Like as far as being ready for that.
Well, first of all, I'm answering your hypothetical, but Joe Biden's going to be fine, so that is not going to come to fruition. But let us also understand that every vice president understands that when they take the oath, that they must be very clear about the responsibility they may have to take over the job of being president. I am no different.
Oh, Joe Biden will be fine, she said. Is that a weird thing to say? The president will be fine. Is that what you say? That's what you say when you come home and you had a terrible day to your spouse. I'm fine. What does that mean? What exactly does that mean? Kamala Harris saying, I'm prepared. I'm prepared to take over as president. Kamala Harris did actually become president for about 85 minutes. Here's a headline from 2 years ago. Kamala Harris became the first woman with presidential power for 85 minutes when Joe Biden went in for a colonoscopy. Oh, boy. So Joe Biden went under anesthesia in a hospital setting at Walter Reed, a routine annual physical, and he had to go get something. He had to go get something cut out. What was it? Let's find out. I don't know. Where is it? I don't remember what it was that Joe Biden. It was a routine colonoscopy. There it is. Okay. Routine colonoscopy. So instead, the nation got the Kamala Harris colonoscopy for 85 minutes. Kamala Harris had all the power. What exactly did she do with it? Well, we're not exactly sure. But we do have some insights, ladies and gentlemen, as to what Kamala Harris may exactly look like or become if given all of the presidential power. And it's not pretty. Observe.
I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. And then there's other things that we just haven't figured out or discovered yet. You guys are gonna see. You're gonna literally see the craters on the moon with your own eyes.
Oh my goodness.
With your own eyes, I'm telling you, it is gonna be unbelievable. It gives us a sense of the magnitude of it all. Earth is kind of small. Yeah. Right? The Earth is like a speck. Yeah. Compared to the sun. What we have designed, I mean, look at the design of this thing. And the people and the smart people and the scientists and the engineers who came up with the idea.
Look at the design of this thing. The world's kind of small. You're gonna see stars with your own eyes. God help us. Okay, so God help us though on both sides of this situation, because we're kind of like effed either way, right? Yesterday, Joe Biden did something. I mean, it's becoming hard. It's becoming hard to really bundle together how terrible things are becoming at the White House. There's a Medal of Honor ceremony yesterday. Medal of Honor. I'm a big patriot, obviously. I love this country. I have military veterans in my own family. I have cops in my own family. People that serve their communities, serve their nation, and did so very honorably. And the Medal of Honor, of course, is your highest military honor that you can bequeath to anyone. That's why the president often does this. There's a man named Larry Taylor at the White House yesterday. He's a Vietnam War pilot who flew his plane in to go pick up American soldiers who were under fire and who were presumably already lost. He flew his helicopter in, dropped down, picked up these guys. Total hero, this guy. And Joe Biden had him at the White House to give him this, the highest honor awarded by our nation's military. And Joe Biden seemingly forgot where he was and what he was doing, walked right out of the ceremony, mid-ceremony, everyone in the room being like, what the fuck is going on? What's going on with this guy? This is why Kamala Harris is like, yes, I am ready. I am ready to do the job. Let me do it. Because everyone can see this. Watch.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me for the benediction.
So Joe Biden walked out before the prayer, left the American hero standing there with tears in his eyes, betrays just spits on him effectively, just turns his back on him and walks out. Joe Biden just turns his back on him and walks out. Did you see everyone there? We did a video where we broke down every single person. Like, everyone's like, Lloyd Austin, the guy who's like in charge of the DOD, like, everyone's like staring at Biden as he walks out. The White House feed, they cut the feed. You're never supposed to do that. They cut the feed. They're like, what the hell is he doing? What the hell is he doing? Cut the feed. What's going on with this guy? What's going on with this guy? Is it dementia? Recent polling shows that 26% of respondents say that Joe Biden is old, outdated, must retire, elderly, aging, senile, and dementia. Watch.
I don't know, Katie. I look at you go deeper into the NORC poll, the AP NORC poll, and it says, what is the first word or phrase that comes to mind when you think of Joe Biden? And this number is also big when you're talking about these things. I mean, you put them all together. None of these comments are good. It's 49% of the poll. But the number one is 26% say the first thing that comes to mind is old, outdated, retire, elderly, aging, senile, dementia when you're talking about the current president of the United States.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm about to show you something wild. Get a load of this. There's plenty of like cable news clips, and we'll go there. You know, you have Fox News, you even have MSNBC now piling on with Joe Biden, and The Atlantic. Oh, baby, the long knives are out. So I'll show you all that. But I would rather, in this moment, to punctuate this point, show you what one of the most successful plastic surgeons in the world has to say. This is a man who runs the largest plastic surgery firm in Beverly Hills. This is a man who is arguably the most successful plastic surgeon on earth. Now, he does reviews of the work that people have had done in their lives. This is going to absolutely, like, you're going to get stunned. I know, you're going to be like, Benny, just stop hyping this thing up. Like, it can't be that great. I learned stuff. I do this every single day. I learned so much by watching this video of this surgeon go through the changes in Joe Biden. And when you are seeing the changes in Joe Biden, it really becomes more like the Darth Vader situation, right? He's more machine than man now. There's only so much plastic and plugs and filler and pharmaceuticals and chemicals that you can shove into a person before they actually do, like, sort of lose their humanity, right? You ever seen those ladies with way too much plastic surgery and their faces don't move and they're all spaced out? Maybe because of the medications, but maybe because of something else. Maybe because this ain't natural. This isn't the way that God designed your body. Dude, look at what Joe Biden is like. Also, if you're a man and you're doing this kind of stuff, you're a particularly weak man. You're a low T man. Like, men should be able to age and, like, get better with age. You should be able to, like, embrace the fact that you're just, like, aging and you got gray in your beard. That's fine. Like, wrinkles are a test of time. It's a good thing. No, like, only the most conceited, weird, freakish people, like, would do this to their body. And this surgeon just nails Biden. Check it out.
President Biden's colleagues are now accusing him of having too much plastic surgery. Do we think he's had plastic surgery? President Biden is now 82 years old. I think he's definitely had some plastic surgery. And I don't think it's necessarily recent plastic surgery. I think he's had procedures throughout the years. And he has some of the telltale signs of plastic surgery. Starting with his hair, we can see that even 30, 40 years ago, his hair was thinning quite dramatically. And then we see some signs that he underwent a hair transplant procedure. And probably one of the older techniques, because you can see some of the unnaturalness to the hairline and the way that the hair was grafted. Secondly, if we look at his brow, there's some telltale signs there, particularly if we think about other actors like Burt Reynolds or singers like Kenny Rogers. He has that same look to the upper brow and upper eyes where there's an unnatural appearance to the lines. If we look at his brow lines on the side, normally they would come like this and come down slightly, but on him we see they're turned up and going this way.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a little weird. What's going on with the eye line? Is that why Joe Biden has that, like, super creepy, what's the right way to do it? Like, super like, his eyes come up like this? Like, what if I did the show every morning? Like, what if I came into the show one morning and, like, I kind of, like, I had this kind of a face. Like, what would you say? You'd be like, hey, guys, this is a little weird. What's going on with you? Also, what kind of damage does it do to you when you're pumping that level of plastic into your body? That level of unnaturalness. I mean, you can see there in the 70s, Joe Biden's hair was already gone. He was bald as a Wuhan bat. But it gets worse. Watch.
At some point, he definitely had some sort of a brow lift procedure. And in men, as I always say, it can make them look feminine or a little odd in the brow. And we see that in President Biden. Secondly, he has some telltale signs of a facelift. He definitely has slight pixie ears. We see again the pole on the side of his face. Also, when he's turned to the side in certain angles, we can see some of the signs near the ear and in the neck here where it looks like at some point he had a facelift. Next, if we go to his eyes, we do see throughout the years that he had some prominent eye bags where he was looking tired. Then we see them kind of go away, come back a little, go away. Also, you can see a change in his eye shape, possibly a little bit to the brow, but also the upper eyes and under his eyes, we can see again the signs that a lower blepharoplasty was done because his eye shape is quite dramatically changed here, as well a little bit of bunching of the skin there. Then I think throughout the years, he's probably done touch-ups with Botox and fillers, but overall, I think he's had a significant amount of plastic surgery throughout his career.
What a wreck. The guy nailed, I mean, jeez. What kind of a freak, men watching right now. What a weird thing, right? Like, why? Would you do that? Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you pull your eyebrows up and, like, get rid of the bags under your eyes and like pull your face back. And did you see the weird different ears? Like, why does Joe Biden have like different ears? He said he got pixie ears. What the hell does that even mean? Royce, what's a pixie ear? I don't know. Rolls-Royce doesn't know. I don't know what an ear is. Like, if I go home to my wife, who's a medical professional, I'm like, honey, you know, I want pixie ears. It's gonna be a weird night in the Johnson household. I'm gonna sleep on the porch. Like, she'd tell me to be a man. Shut up. What kind of world is the resident of the United States has pixie ears and got his eyebrows turned up and his face pulled back. Maybe that's what's leading to some of this decline. There's only so much you can do. You can't fight it. Gravity and age and time comes for all of us the way God designed it. And even the people on MSNBC are starting to realize that. The MSNBC anchors are starting to ask about Joe Biden's age. I'm telling you, we see these things in trends. We see the trends building and working throughout the system. You have to pay attention to left-wing media to see what they have planned for you next. Yesterday it was all about Jill Biden has COVID and Whoopi Goldberg has COVID. Oh, interesting how they chose those two specific postmenopausal wine aunt individuals to get COVID, right? Isn't that fascinating? Really curious, the timing there. On the same day, too. On the same day. Oh, yeah, and Jill Biden gets COVID. She was with Joe all weekend, and then Joe Biden goes into a room of elderly veterans. A little strange, that. Oh, and Joe Biden's going to get a mask again. They're going to get a mask on Joe Biden because they don't want him to be able to speak. Even on MSNBC. Watch.
Gene is absolutely right. If you ask Democrats the question, yes, 7 out of 10, that's a lot, believe he's too old. And they said, well, you're going to vote for him? Well, yeah, of course I'm going to vote for him. I'm not going to go support Donald Trump. I guess the question is it enough of an issue for those independents, the people in the middle who may be still on the fence a bit?
Yeah, I was just had this conversation with a few senior Democrats in the last couple of days, and they acknowledge that as much as they don't like talking publicly, they know the president's age is an issue and a real one. They understand it's a legitimate concern for voters.
Okay, wait a second. You have like real panic time. When you have these individuals on MSNBC, when you have the people who are sports commentators like Stephen A. Smith straight out there saying you're too old to run for president, again, you are starting to see the formation of something happening. I don't know exactly what it is. Are they going to let him? Are they going to let him run? Are they going? Is he not a effective enough cutout for Obama? He's too gaffe prone. He's too silly. He's too stupid. He's too corrupt. And they're going to toss him in the trash. We'll see. Stephen A. Smith isn't a free-thinking man. Stephen A. Smith is somebody who's obviously owned by and operated by corporate America, ESPN, ABC, the network that was able to kill all of the Jeffrey Epstein reporting in order to help out Obama and company, Clinton and company. So Stephen A. Smith going on Sean Hannity's program and saying Joe Biden's too old? What's that about? Watch.
But in the case of Biden, clearly he doesn't seem to be as cogent and as lucid as we would like him to be. My bigger point was this. It is a disgrace for the Democratic Party to call themselves progressives when they're virtually begging an 82-year-old man at election time to run for re-election. That is the point that I was making. You're supposed to be progressive, right? You're supposed to be moving forward. You're supposed to be thinking forward. You're supposed to be being innovative and younger and all of this other stuff. And you're leaning on the hopes and the prayers of an 82-year-old who would be Joe Biden. He's 80 right now. He'd be going 81. He'll be 82 at the time of re-election if that were to happen. To depend on him is an indictment against the Democratic Party. And the reason I brought up Gavin Newsom is because, listen, I am absolutely positively allergic to the high taxes in California. I can't stand them. To me, the state invents ways to take your money. It's just unbelievable to me. But to watch him sit directly face to face with you, Sean Hannity, and go toe to toe the way that y'all did.
Oh, so Stephen Smith, the guy who is a Muppet for Democrat politics and policy, appealing to certain communities of sports watchers, men who watch sports. Again, the only reason I say that, there's nothing wrong with watching sports, but the entire industry hates you, right? The sports media industry despises the paying customer. So why is Stephen A. Smith allowed to go on Sean Hannity's show and to start hyping up Gavin Newsom? Why is Sean Hannity hyping up Gavin Newsom? Oh, I don't know. Why is Kamala Harris, also from California, saying, I'm ready to take the job as president? And why is the billionaire funding rag of the Democrat Party saying, Joe, you need to drop out now? Check this out from The Atlantic. From The Atlantic, published a month ago. Step aside, Joe. The president has no business running for office at the age of 80. Ah, yikes. Oh, my God. Oh, no. This is very interesting. He has... Let me read to you one line that I think is compelling. Biden has no business running for president at 80. I say this with considerable feeling, being in my late 60s and knowing that in my 70s are not far off. As healthy as any late middle-aged person, admittedly, I cringe at the word old can be, but I know that at this stage, I do not have the energy I had a decade ago. Forget more things, as my body does hurt when I wake up in the morning. A little voice in my head asks whether I am dead, and I do not know it yet. Huh? Oh, okay. Well, that seems like a bit of a cliche. President Biden is 80 years old if he gets reelected. He'll be 86 by the time his term expires. He will have spent, at the end of that time, nearly half a century as a senator, vice president, or president, positions all calculated to inflate one's self-image, just like Joe Biden's plastic surgery. As president, he has surrounded himself with former aides and dutiful technocrats, no peers who can look him straight into the eye and say with gravitas, born of experience, self-confidence, Mr. President, I profoundly disagree. Perhaps this is what he has always done, but it is particularly striking now. So the Atlantic, owned by Steve Jobs' widow, is straight up saying, don't you dare run for president again. MSNBC is saying, don't run for president again. Stephen A. Smith is saying, don't run for president again. And America is saying, don't run for president again. From the Daily Mail, even more Americans think Joe Biden, 80, is too old to run again. 77%, including 69% of Democrats, say President Biden can't run the country for 4 more years. New polling. So what do they got to do? They got a bit of a problem. Got a bit of a problem. I got it. Just came to my head. Why don't you let the smartest wordsmith in all of Washington, the lady who accidentally tweets for the president of the United States, doesn't even know how to run X. Why don't you let her handle it? Ladies and gentlemen, our nuclear cringe for the day. Cringe Jean-Pierre versus Peter Doocy asking if Joe Biden is a adult baby in diapers. Go.
Karine, President Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history. Why does White House staff treat him like a baby?
No one treats the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, like a baby.
So there's this book that says
that's ridiculous.
When staff walked back
claim.
What sounded like a call for regime change in Russia, the president, quote, rather than owning his failure, he fumed to friends about how he was treated like a toddler. Was John Kennedy ever babied like that?
So look, I'll say this. There's going to be always a range of books that are about every administration, as you know, that's going to have a variety of claims. That is not unusual. That happens all the time. And we're not going to litigate those here. That's something that we're not going to speak to.
No, nobody babies the United States president. Do you have the tweet? Do you have the KJP tweet? Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so delicious. Oh, man. KJP, nobody babies the United States president. And then Cringe Jean-Pierre sends out a tweet. When I ran for president, this is why. Delete. It's so good. Investing in America means investing in all America. When I ran for president, I made a promise. Nobody babies the president. Give me your phone, Joe. Wrong account. Oh, man. These people are trying to destroy our economy. These people are trying to destroy everything. They can't run their own X handle. They think they can run the most complicated and wealthy and diverse economy, sophisticated economy in U.S. history with the world standard of currency? No, and not for much longer. That is why I suggest you invest in gold. Please, please get rid of these lies, these web of lies that are being spun by the government. I got so incensed when I saw this morning the numbers, the job numbers. Like every single job number this year has been revised downward. Some of them by 50%. The government is lying to you. And many smart governments are going back to the gold standard around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to diversify your investments. Go with my friends at Allegiance Gold. Go with my friends at Allegiance Gold and get up to $5,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase when you visit protectwithbenny.com today. Give them a call at 844-66-BENNY. Don't wait. Do not allow Joe Biden and his dementia to take control of your life savings, please. Republicans, if they have any say in the matter, hopefully will not allow this to happen. Breaking from this morning, James Comer has subpoenaed DHS and the Secret Service over a tip-off of the Hunter Biden interview. Very interesting. James Comer is ramping up on his committee. And, of course, we will be joined by MTG here momentarily to talk more about what she expects when Congress gets back from their delightful little Mai Tai margarita daiquiri vacations that they get for months at a time while getting paid $170,000, $80,000 a year. Ladies and gentlemen, James Comer is going to get back to work. James Comer, again, is a friend of the show. He's going to be on the show sometime, I think, in the next week or two. And he's going to preview for us what is going to happen to Joe Biden. And we have been telling you it will be an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden that will start when Republicans hit the ground running. They are beginning by creating, of course, all of the document evidence that is required to present to the American people of how damn corrupt Joe is. As we have evidenced this entire show, even Democrats are turning on Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is turning on Joe Biden. They can all see the writing on the wall. The subpoenas are firing out fast from these committees, and it is all in preparation for what's going to happen in the fall. Buckle up, baby. Watch.
House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer has subpoenaed Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, several department aides, and Secret Service officials. He's looking for documents and testimony related to the Secret Service's alleged tip-off of the Biden transition team regarding a planned Hunter Biden tax probe interview in 2020. Comer's also accusing the agencies of obstructing a congressional investigation.
Okay, so where do we go next? Where do we go next, ladies and gentlemen? Well, if you're obstructing justice, as we have talked about in this program time and time again, this is not complicated stuff. They try and make it complicated. They try and hide behind all these Ukrainian names. I've never seen so many consonants in a single last name all smashed together. They try and hide behind all of these LLCs and all this complicated banking network. No, it's not that complicated. Joe Biden committed treason against our country by leveraging the taxpayer dollar against our interests in order to enrich his family. That's treasonous. He betrayed our country. And he did so by getting bribes in Ukraine. We have the handy little graphic here for you. This is a simple graphic that you can screenshot right now. We share it often. Joe Biden is a criminal and has committed impeachable offenses. Among some of the other misdemeanors, though, and high crimes that Joe Biden has committed is obstruction of justice. James Comer explains.
And we have instance after instance throughout this whole investigation to where we've uncovered more information about where the IRS investigation into Hunter Biden, which, as we've heard from the IRS whistleblowers, was leading directly to Joe Biden, was obstructed. And I can tell you from my experience over the past 9 months leading this investigation of Biden's all the influence peddling schemes, that we've been obstructed at every turn, not only by the Biden attorneys, but also by the Department of Justice, by Homeland Security now. We've been obstructed by the media. We've been obstructed by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, the FBI, and the list goes on and on. But we're still able to produce evidence, new evidence every week that no one knew beforehand. And I believe all this evidence that we've gathered, we're finally starting to piece it together and put together a timeline. And what we're finding is very concerning.
Mm-hmm. So we've been telling you the timeline of this will be very simple. They will gather the evidence. They will present it to the American people inside of the impeachment inquiry. That is what is necessary to get the corporate media to report on this. Do we have that hilarious clip of that? Can you get that hilarious clip of that Washington Post reporter? Like a vampire getting hit with sunlight when he's asked about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's crimes. This is the investigative reporter for the Washington Post, Philip Bump. There's only one way to get the corporate press to cover this, to wake up the American people. Obviously, you're going to need to have the impeachment inquiry dropping literally during the show, something that broke whilst we were live. The Daily Mail, Hunter Biden associate worked with the White House on a response to explain his Burisma work. Oh, interesting. So the White House is directly involved in protecting Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden lives at the White House. Incredible how the incidents of cocaine bags being found at the White House really have quite a correlation to Hunter moving in. Republicans say emails sent on day of Biden's son's promise to get help from D.C. to ease corruption probe prove collusion. Ooh, that's a special word I look forward to seeing in the lexicon more. The GOP is ramping up its investigation into the Biden family's decade-long influence peddling scheme. Hunter's business partners sent a series of emails with then VP staffer Kate Bedingfield, recently White House Communications Director Kate Bedingfield, about how to respond to media requests about Hunter's Burisma role. Then VP staff and his son Hunter's investigative firm exchanged over 1,000 emails while he was serving as the number 2 in the White House. There's so much evidence of this. It's becoming hard to keep track of it. I think the Republicans are laying it out very nicely. The media, of course, doesn't want to touch it. They are responding like a vampire to a crucifix when presented with this information. This clip is just hysterical. Philip Bump of the Washington Post, Mr. Investigative Reporter, asked about Joe Biden's crimes, well, live on a podcast. Watch this react. Ah! Go.
What do you take from the text message to his adult daughter, Hunter's text message, I have to give 50% of my income to Pop?
I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that means.
Well, it's
I know it's circumstantial evidence, and you prefer that.
No,
to
what
evidence.
could it be?
I have no idea.
But doesn't it?
I don't know.
Well,
I appreciate your.
Has anybody asked her?
I don't know. I don't know.
Don't you think somebody should ask her?
Okay. Like I'm not. I just said I don't know, and I don't know what to make of it, so I have nothing to say about it.
Yeah,
what do you want me to say?
Yeah, but you say there's no evidence, but then there's a text message where he says, "I give Pop 50% of my money." That's evidence.
Okay. Well, okay, fine.
So
it's evidence. I appreciate you having me on.
It doesn't. That something like that. Who do you think is more? I listen to that and I'm saying,
Am I?
You can free to go.
I feel you want me to leave, like just walk out in the middle of this because that way you can
you can go.
Right.
Is this a standard? Really, this is the way the Washington Post handles people who disagree with them.
When I agree to be on for 45 minutes,
go,
and then
go.
I get on for an hour and 15. Yeah, that after a while I go. Thanks for having me.
I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means. Stop talking to me. Stop talking to me. I love the cortisol pumping, estrogen filled energy of those in our corporate media. I love it when these people go on TV or go on podcasts because you're able to see how they react, like how they work, like what grimy, filthy, creepy people they are. I don't know. Has anyone asked her? Well, I don't know. Well, isn't that your job? Like, you're the same people that like went on and on and on about something might have happened with Donald Trump in an elevator at some time? We don't know. A tape may exist. Stormy Daniels, Michael Avenatti. Should Michael Avenatti run for president? You remember that? You remember that news cycle? Ooh, God, it's great. This is why we're winning. I mean, obviously, this is why we're winning. Somebody who is big time winning, big yikes, for Marjorie Taylor Greene is indeed the Congresswoman from Georgia. She's winning because, well, it seems like she's influenced the entire GOP caucus to go directly for the impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. Marjorie Taylor Greene now getting the obvious votes of Jim Jordan, James Comer, seemingly Kevin McCarthy. She'll be joining the program in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Jordan saying, yeah, we're doing it. We're doing the impeachment inquiry. Watch.
Yeah, the same U.S. attorney who tipped off the Secret Service, the same U.S. attorney's office who talked to Gary Shapler's lawyer, is the same U.S. attorney's office who designed the sweetheart deal that was declined by the judge. That's the same guy that Merrick Garland made the special counsel. So, of course, the fix is in. The White House is getting all ready because they know what's likely to happen later this month. The Speaker's been clear about this. If we need to go to an impeachment inquiry phase of our oversight work, we will do that. They're getting ready, but we're going to come at this from all angles. Mr. Comer today subpoenaed documents and individuals from DHS and the Secret Service. Chairman Smith has subpoenaed individuals from the IRS who were part of the investigation into Hunter Biden. We have subpoenaed individuals from the FBI who were part of the investigation. We want them in for depositions. So we're coming at this from three sides to get the facts for the country so we know whether we need to go to impeachment inquiry. But it is looking like more and more every day we need to go to that phase of our oversight work.
So finally, the messaging has shifted from, oh, I don't know about impeachment to we're doing it. At least we're doing the impeachment inquiry. There's one person in Congress who has straight up said Joe Biden deserved to be impeached from day one. I believe the first day in office. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the great Congresswoman from Georgia, filed an impeachment article against Joe Biden. The great Congresswoman from Georgia joins the show now. Congresswoman, thank you. It seems like you have finally won, at least a little bit. Like they have been following you for a long time, and now they are starting to sing the same tune. Is that correct? Am I a little overly optimistic on this?
I think you're absolutely accurate, Benny, and I really appreciate you pointing out the obvious. Yes, on Joe Biden's first day in office, I introduced articles of impeachment on the very issue of abuse of power and business deals and corruption involving Burisma in Ukraine. And I did that because I knew exactly what you knew, Benny, what most people knew that were paying attention to the Hunter Biden laptop story and that were willing to dig for the truth. And so we've had a lot of information all along, but let me tell you something. There is some damning information, even more information that will be coming out soon that will literally start linking money ties directly to Joe Biden. And I'm very excited about that. And I've been calling for impeachment of Joe Biden, like I said, from his first day in office. But I've decided something, Benny. I'm really looking forward to an impeachment inquiry. And here's why. If we vote for impeachment and just a vote and impeach him in the House, then the American people, we do an injustice for them. We need an impeachment inquiry that is a long, drawn-out, extremely painful process for Joe Biden, but not just for Joe Biden. All of the people that worked in his vice president administration, that works in the FBI, that works in the Department of Justice, that works in the service, that works in the archives, that have covered up this information in the Treasury, all of the people involved in this, which I would call one big, very scandalous issue of collusion and racketeering, that I believe we could bring RICO charges against all of these people, but because they have conspired to cover up crimes committed by Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and many other people to enrich themselves, abusing the most powerful seats of power in the United States of America. And I look forward to months and months and months, as long as it needs to take, to draw out the details tediously for the American people and for the media that really want to ignore it. And I think that is the right thing to do. I really do.
I have a series of questions that I'm really fascinated to learn about this process. However, gotta stop and rewind the tape here. What do you mean? You've seen new evidence? There are a lot of theories out there of tapes. Greg Kelly saying there's going to be some tapes that drop that prove Biden's bribery. We've heard of the FD 1023 and that there are tapes available of Joe Biden literally committing bribes. What do you know? What can you tell us right now of new evidence?
Well, I wouldn't say exactly what the new evidence is, but I know it's coming and I know what it is, and I'm excited for it to come out. I like to present evidence when I have it in hand, not just rumors of evidence. And I think that's the right way to do it, to earn people's trust, and also to show that I'm committed to telling the truth, not just throwing out inflammatory, salacious sounding things to create headlines or get social media clicks. I think it's so important, and it's the right thing to do, Benny, not to inflame the situation, but just to simply present the truth for the American people, because the truth is so damning, and we've already presented so much. Look at what we've uncovered. We've uncovered SARS reports in the Treasury, thousands of pages. Then we subpoenaed that information, and we got all kinds of bank accounts. Then we showed the wire transfers coming in from countries, foreign nationals, foreign governments, foreign businesses from all over the world going into these fake LLCs managed by the Biden family. And then we showed also proof of payments out of these LLCs to all these Biden family members. But now we're digging in the details. And Benny, you did such a good job leading up to our interview here, explaining out and laying out more details that are going to be coming out about how people that worked for then Vice President Joe Biden, how they're involved in covering it up. We have the IRS and we have the Secret Service tipping off Hunter Biden before when they were getting ready for Joe Biden to go into the presidency. They tipped him off, and then they stopped the investigation from the IRS. We have so many things that we're about to start presenting, but the real evidence is coming out very soon, and I look forward for you to be able to tell people about it, and for everyone to report this. And I really hope Americans are paying close attention.
Wow. I mean, I do agree with this tactic. We've spoken before, and I've spoken with a number of your colleagues, and now I'm convinced that the impeachment inquiry is necessary. And there's a reason why I played that that very, very feline, frenetic energy Washington Post reporter recoiling, right, with horror of being asked about Joe Biden's crimes that are like evidenced out for the mass of the American people. I mean, they already know about this stuff, right? But for some reason, the press has this extreme antibody reaction to this. And if you were to do this impeachment inquiry in the way that you're talking about, there is no way to ignore it. Am I wrong?
No, there's no way to ignore it. And this is the proper way to do it. And I am all for it. And I tell you what, Kevin McCarthy is a yes vote for an impeachment inquiry. Jim Jordan is a yes vote. James Comer, Jason Smith, many Republicans are a yes vote for an impeachment inquiry right now. And I'm going to argue that we will see it put into action when we go back to Congress, possibly as early as next week. I'm demanding it. And Benny, I'm so serious about this because I know the evidence is there, and I'm so disgusted and embarrassed for our country that we have such a corrupt president that we have allowed to remain in power, and that they have colluded and conspired to cover up his crimes. It is purely disgusting to me, and I will not tolerate it. And that's why I came out very boldly to my constituents at home at a town hall, and I said, I'm not voting to fund the government until we have an impeachment inquiry. I absolutely will not. And I'm not going to fund the government for any kind of COVID, mask, vaccine mandates, future vaccines, COVID insanity. It's a mental illness at this point. I'm not going to fund the government for Ukraine to further a war that's just murdering people. And what it is doing is it's lining the pockets of Democrats. I think that money is going into nonprofits and going into all kinds of different types of organizations and looping back and lining the pockets of Democrat candidates. I will not vote to fund that. And I'm not going to vote to fund the weaponized government. I mean, when we are seeing the leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Torres, and he's getting 22 years in prison, and he wasn't even at the Capitol, and we're seeing many others be persecuted in this. I'm absolutely not funding a government that is doing that to the American people, and I won't fund a short-term CR that does any of those things and continues Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden's policy writers. It's time for us to get serious, and I'm telling you, things are about to get real when we go back to Washington next week.
Buckle up, baby. We've been telling people, buckle up. The GOP is really finally serious. And I think for the first time in my lifetime, you're going to actually see a muscular GOP majority in the House deliver. And we're excited for it. Thank you, Marjorie, for obviously pushing on these issues now in your home state, back from D.C. in Georgia. Of course, you see Fani Willis, who is attempting to lock up Donald Trump. We love, by the way, your avatar on Twitter, X. It's really great. the Fulton County avatar there, a symbol, a symbol for our side of being in the right fight. But it is unnerving, quite frankly, for people to watch what's happening to Donald Trump. Can you give us an update from the state of Georgia? Like, how is this happening in the state of Georgia? Is there anyone in the state that has the guts to fight this? Is anything to be done? What is the outcome that you see in the future?
Yeah, thanks for asking me, Benny, because there's a lot of confusion out there about what can be done about it. And while I changed my profile picture to stand in solidarity with President Trump and the other people in Georgia who are being wrongfully charged by Fani Willis, our out of control, Soros-funded Fulton County DA, the situation in Georgia is very grave. We do not have the means to impeach her. And I really applaud the efforts of the state senator. He's in my district, actually, Colton Moore. He introduced articles of impeachment. And I'm cheering for him. I think it's great. It's a great step out there. But the votes do not exist in the Senate in Georgia or the House to actually impeach her. So while it's a very good sign, it's a good messaging topic, it just is impossible. And that's unfortunate, very unfortunate. What's going to happen is starting October 1st, there's going to be sort of like an oversight committee that will be set up that will investigate Fani Willis and will review her conduct. And that board, by law in the state of Georgia, will have the ability to basically possibly even remove her from office. So that's the hope that I have as the board that's being set up on October 1st, as well as on Judiciary Committee in Washington. Jim Jordan announced an investigation. He's investigating Alvin Bragg as well and other state DAs that we think they are colluding with Biden's Department of Justice. And we think Fani Willis's office is also colluding with Jack Smith, the special counsel, and Biden's Department of Justice. And once again, while she is charging President Trump with RICO and racketeering charges for simply using his freedom of speech and saying the election is stolen, it's really the Democrats who are guilty of racketeering and should be charged with RICO charges themselves for the great conspiracy and collusion efforts to lock people up, to persecute people, to use the power of government to stop their political opponents, and then more gravely and seriously to destroy freedom of speech in this country when it comes to political speech. So that's how it looks on the ground in Georgia. So we're really going to have to be working hard to do everything we can. Hopefully that committee that's set up on October 1st will act swiftly and stop Fani Willis from what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean, on some level, I suppose you have to thank her. We have this giant Trump mugshot in our studio now. It's iconic. We have the parental advisory Donald Trump mugshot here in the studio. Obviously, you have the avatar. But also, it does seem incredibly corrosive to the system and quite embarrassing for the state of Georgia to have these public officials be allowed to continue to serve in office. We did our own sort of research on Fani Willis and found that she herself questioned the elections in Georgia and how they were conducted in a long series of posts. and I believe you retweeted this, and it does seem like maybe Fani Willis is the one who potentially should be charged next for questioning the Georgia elections, as she regularly and has consistently done throughout her entire career. So hopefully the house can be cleaned there. We do have a question for you from our Benny Brigade. Our final question for you today, Congresswoman, directly from our supporters, from Evan, asking, will Dr. Fauci be held accountable for his crimes? I feel like he's done so much damage. And why is he able to walk free? I was not able to visit my grandmother in the nursing home the last few months. She was alive. And I really pray that something is able to happen to hold accountable Dr. Fauci. I know he's not on your Christmas list. What is the Republican House majority doing?
Evan, I appreciate your question, and that's the question I'll take back with me to Washington, D.C., and I stand on your side, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Actually, I think Dr. Fauci belongs in prison for his advice and for his so-called medical advice was basically tyrannical advice. It wasn't even advice. These mandates and lockdowns that locked away our grandparents, where people had to watch their grandparents die on television or just never saw them again and just found out they passed away. That is purely criminal. I serve on the COVID sub-select committee, and Dr. Fauci is someone that I look forward to coming in and talking to our committee. I have a lot to say to him. I don't really have any questions. I just have a lot that he needs to hear directly to his face. And Evan, on behalf of you, I will make sure I remember that your grandmother died locked away, like in a prison. And so, yeah, Dr. Fauci definitely has it coming to him. Benny, I'll tell you something right now. I'm not your typical Republican. And I believe that the Democrats opened Pandora's box, and we need to use the same tools and weapons back on them as they have done to us. And it should not be let go. None of this should ever be let go. And if anyone's walking around with a mask right now, they are either severely brainwashed, and we should pity them, or we should tell them how ridiculous they look. It's absurd. But I have my office working on some important legislation. I'm going to be introducing a bill on the House side, a companion bill to J.D. Vance's Senate bill, where we are not going to be funding any school that is forcing mask or vaccine mandates on children. This is absurd. It's out of control. And I mean, it's ridiculous right now. Benny, look at Jill Biden, vaxxed and boosted, I don't know how many times. And then, oh, she's positive with COVID. It's like, that is proof right there that all of this has been an absolute lie. And Dr. Fauci has known it from the beginning. I have a poster board. I'll put it back up out of my office when I get back to Washington. That is an email from Dr. Fauci to one of his friends. I think it's back in February of 2020, saying, "Oh, you don't need to wear a mask. They're absolutely unnecessary. They don't block the transmission of COVID." So he knows it right there. So all of this is absurd. It's insanity. We will not comply. We will shut down every ounce of this country if they try to put these mandates back on us and lockdowns.
Yes. Congresswoman, thank you so very much for being on the program. Everyone go over to X and follow the great Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, also with the absolutely stunning avatar there. Congresswoman, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for fighting, Benny. I really appreciate you.
We're happy warriors. Really is a wonderful time to be able to be joined by people who are not, as they would say, your grandfather's Republican Party. Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of them. It is so valuable to have someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene in the House because she is able to move the Overton window. She's able to to change the nexus of thinking for so many of these representatives. And honestly, she's not a great enemy to have either. So it's good. It's good to make sure that she is in there pushing and putting her shoulder to the wheel for you, for me, and for the agenda of America First. Speaking of the agenda of America First, presumably the most important thing would be transparency and knowledge and understanding of who is running for office, what your government is capable of, what they are doing. Tucker Carlson intends to show that to you tonight with an airing of an interview with Larry Sinclair, the convicted individual who smoked crack and had sex with Barack Obama in 1999, so he claims. Sinclair and Tucker will be on a what is to be a wide-ranging interview about Barack Obama's very creepy personal life. There was a teaser that was tweeted out yesterday. We certainly look forward to watching this one.
You're just a guy who's in town for the night, and it sounds like you're looking to party.
Yeah, pulled up in a bar outside, and there's this guy that's introduced to me as Barack Obama. I had given Barack $250 to pay for coke. I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort, and next thing I know, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking. So I just started rubbing my hand along his thigh to see where it was going, and it went the direction I had intended it to go.
Even though you had sex with him twice, you did cocaine with him, watched him smoke crack twice, you had no idea who he was.
I had no idea who he was.
Let me just ask the obvious question. What was Obama like on crack? Is it your sense that that's who Obama is, just transactional, or that he's bisexual, or like what is this?
It definitely wasn't Barack's first time, and I would almost be willing to bet you it wasn't as long.
The guy's running for president and credible information comes out that he's smoking crack and having sex with dudes. That seems like a story.
Well, it would be a story if the media really cared about telling people the truth.
This is what Marjorie Taylor Greene just said, and I think it's very profound. Turnabout is fair play. You have to be able to drink the medicine that you're giving to other people. And Democrats ran day and night with credible accusations about Brett Kavanaugh, credible accusations about Donald Trump, Stormy Daniels. Let's make Stormy Daniels' lawyer president. Do you remember President Avenatti? Michael Avenatti, the guy who's doing federal hard time right now? He's such a scumbag. The credible accusation is incredible. How that line only applies to the accusers of Republicans. It's only credible. And that means that we are able to essentially give these charges the veneer of coverage and credibility because we say so. So every person, Jeannie Carroll, Stormy Daniels, every person Stormy Daniels, I think, has to pay Donald Trump's legal fees because she's such a fraudulent liar. Like this fully discredited, her lawyer's in prison. It's like fully discredited scam. And that all you heard about day and night is Stormy Daniels. They're trying to put Donald Trump in jail for for a nuisance lawsuit against Stormy Daniels, 2015 in New York. So yeah, these credible accusations. We're going to apply the same rule, okay? Drink your medicine, libs. These are credible accusations against the real president, the third-term president, Barack Obama. So we're going to listen to him, and we're going to give you all the information. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes there are dark things that happen in the world, and we can't get everything that we want. But the best we can get is justice, ladies and gentlemen. At the very end, we will have justice. Christians, those who believe in God, know that justice is coming in this life or the next. We can walk up with our heads upright. We can walk into the profound light with salt and light. We carry forward with our verse of the day, Isaiah 46. Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am he. I am he who will sustain you. I have made you and will carry you. I will sustain you and I will rescue you. Seem like America needs some rescuing right now? Yeah, yes. And this is the creator of the universe saying, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how long you live, I am here. I created you and I will carry you. As a father, this is a great verse for me. I carry my kids every single day. And my 3-year-old is perfectly capable of walking throughout the house, anywhere she goes, anywhere she wishes to go. And she often asks, Dad, carry me. And I think about that from a philosophical, spiritual sense. Like, sometimes you just need to be carried. Sometimes you just simply need to be carried by the one who brought you into this world. All of us do. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a moment where we should set our eyes upon true hope and set our hearts upon the light. Stand upright and march forward, Christian soldiers. It's your boy Benny. What up to the Benny Brigade? Shout out, and we will see you tomorrow. See ya!